What is up, sports bettors? It is Matt Modi with OddsJam, aka Jedi Modi. In this video, I will be giving out my 4 sharp bets for NFL Week 5. So I was out at the end of last week, so I wasn't able to do these 4 sharp picks. So just to do a quick recap, Week 3, I had my worst week going 1-3 on these. Every play is for a unit, so that brings my total record to 7-5. With about 233 in profit, so up about 2.3 units. If you remember, this 49ers moneyline one really hurts because that was the game against the Broncos where they led the entire game. Jimmy G couldn't do anything. He had a safety, and then they blew it. Their defense blew it at the end, giving up their only touchdown of the game. So was a rough 1-3, the last time I did this. Just to do a recap, for those of you who have missed the first couple weeks, the way that these 4 sharp bets work, every week I give out a lock, I give out an underdog, I give out a player prop, and I give out a game prop. So the rules for the lock is the odds cannot be worse than minus 200. So minus 250, minus 300 doesn't count. Anything below minus 200, so minus 190, minus 150, that would count. The lock has to be backing a favorite to either win straight up, just take their money line, or cover them, or to cover the spread. So as you can see, my lock in week 2 was the Bengals -7. That lost. First week was Bucks money line, so I'm actually 1-2 on the locks. Maybe I should name it something different, but that's how the lock works. The underdog is pretty much what it sounds like. It just has to be an underdog. And I have to take their money line. So can't be a situation where the game is essentially a pick 'em. The team has to be for plus money, and it has to be their money line. So it can't be a situation like, let's pretend, the Falcons this week are 9.5-point underdogs. I couldn't sell a couple points, get them at 6.5 for plus money. Has to be money line, has to be winning straight up. The game prop and the player prop are pretty simple. Just a player prop and a game prop. The only line there, or the rules there, obviously the odds cannot be worse than minus 200 as well. It's no fun being like, oh, I think that Travis Kelce is going to record a catch. I think that the Packers are going to win minus 360 odds. I think the Bills are going to win minus 835. No fun there. So that's how it works. Before I get into it, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel to get all of these picks moving forward. Also, if you could subscribe to the OddsJam podcast, Sweat the Bet, hosted by yours truly and Andrew Kim, aka the Parlay Doc. Sweat the Bet, presented by OddsJam. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can subscribe to it. In the podcast, we do a preview of each of the games, or the biggest games for that week. And then at the end, we give out our 3 best bets. So I am 7-3-2 on my best bets so far. So subscribe to the OddsJam podcast. So for the lock, the first thing that I like to do is just go to the upcoming games on oddsjam.com. This is completely free line shopping. And then see which team has moneyline odds that are below minus 200 and that also have the best odds on a book that I can actually lock the bet in, not a sharp book that we use to price odds. So Packers, they wouldn't apply at all, but I immediately know that there's no value on the Packers money line at minus 360 because the best odds are on Bookmaker. No positive expected value there. Every play needs to have positive expected value associated with it. And what's really important is line shopping. Obviously, the more books you're signed up with, the higher opportunity you have of beating the closing line, of finding a positive EV play. So I scrolled through all of the different moneyline odds, like the Chargers at minus 130. I know they won last week. They're 2-2. I just don't have faith in the Chargers. The Patriots, we'll get to the Lions, but I don't like the Patriots in that one. The Dolphins without Tua, I'm not touching. The Titans, no way. Both of these teams stink. So right off the bat, not a great week to bet money lines. So then I looked at the games and I say, okay, who has blowout potential? Who do I think can blow out their opponent? And the team that I ended up settling on was the Jacksonville Jaguars minus 6.5, minus 110 odds on play up. It's a positive expected value play. This is going to be my lock of the day. So let me just go ahead and actually lock this one in. I put a unit on all of these bets. As I mentioned, 1 unit for me is $100. So let's chat about this one. First and foremost, I mentioned it's positive expected value. Pinnacle prices this at minus 120. Play up prices it at minus 110. The Houston Texans side of it plus 6.5. Pin prices at plus 104. So if you remove the VIG, puts the true line of this play at minus 111, showing that this one has positive expected value. I also like it because no other book prices the main line of this play at 6.5. Literally every other book has it at 7 or 7.5. And that half point is extremely valuable, going from 6.5 to 7 to 7.5. Obviously, the Jaguars win by exactly a touchdown. You win your 6.5 bet, you lose, or you push the minus 7 and you lose the minus 7.5. Winning by 7 is very, very common in the NFL. So getting this below that half point at 6.5 is extremely valuable. And just look at where every other book prices it. Pinnacle, minus 120. Fox Bet, minus 133. Bet Rivers, minus 121. You go down the line, every single book that is giving you odds at minus 6.5 has it significantly as the favored outcome, except for PlayUp, which just has it at minus 110 at each way. Another reason why I like it, let's look at where other sharp books price it. BetOnline has the true line of this at plus 7, as does Bookmaker, as does Pinnacle. If you don't have PlayUp, I don't hate taking it at minus 7 at plus 100 on Caesars. I think that is a good play as well. But my official lock is going to be locked in at Jaguars minus 6.5 at minus 110 odds. So that's the math behind it. Let's talk about the football reasons. Despite being 2-2, Jacksonville still has the 4th best DVOA in the entire NFL. Advanced analytics say Jaguars are still a top 5 team. Their opponent, the Houston Texans, have the 2nd worst DVOA in the entire NFL. And both of the Jags' losses can be easily explained away without needing to reach. Week 1 is always weird. They lost to the Commanders in week 1, a weird game in which they missed a field goal. They threw an interception. They had a turnover on downs in the end zone at the goal line. If any of those plays go differently, they probably win that game. Then last week, they lost to my Eagles in just a weird rain-soaked game. Doug Peterson returning to Philly. A lot of emotion in that one. And if you just look at how the game actually went, the Jaguars turned it over 5 times. Previously, they had the best turnover differential in the NFL. That's an outlier. And they were up 14-0 with the ball. Trevor Lawrence misses a wide open Jamal Agnew in the end zone. He catches that. He puts it on him, 21-0. Then very next play was 4th and 3. Trevor Lawrence was rolling out, could have easily run for a first down. Ball slips out of his hands because the rain. Eagles recover. And then the things kind of changed from there. The Jaguars are one of the best rushing teams in the NFL. The Texans are one of the worst at defending the run. And we've seen the Jags are not shy to blow out their opponents. Week 2, they shut out the Colts 24-0. Week 3, they beat the Chargers 38-10. After losing last week, I trust Doug Peterson to get the troops ready, to have them ready to win this game. So, lock of the day officially is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars at minus 6.5. It's a positive expected value play. I have already locked it in, and that is going to be it for the lock. So now let us move on to the underdog. All right, and for the underdog, the team that I am looking to back for my underdog play is the Detroit Lions at plus 150 odds. You can get this at Bet Rivers, plus 150 odds. So let me go ahead and lock this one in first. Most importantly, got to get the bet in for a full unit. All these 4 bets, as I mentioned, is a 1 unit play. Perfect, and that has been locked in. Let me add this one to my bet tracker. Tracking your bets is incredibly important. As I've talked about it, perfect. So let's chat about this one. Number 1, of course, it's positive expected value. The play I found, positive EV play using OddsJam. All these plays, as I've already mentioned, positive expected value. And I actually really like this one. So the plus 150 is what we locked it in at Bet Rivers. The no big line pricing this below this number at plus 149. So not a massive value here in terms of percentages at 0.25%, but I still think it's a good one, mostly because look where all the sharp books price this. BetOnline prices this at plus 136, 14 cents lower than Bet Rivers at plus 150. Bookmaker, another sharp book, at plus 144. A moneyline play gets a ton of action, so the edges that you are able to find in a moneyline play can be very valuable because of how heavily bet these types of markets are. And then we see other books like Fox Bet plus 135, WinBet plus 140, PointsBet plus 140, FanDuel plus 144. The closest book, which admittedly is only 2 cents off, is Caesars at plus 148, but that wouldn't be positive EV. The plus 150 is what's positive expected value, which is why line shopping is so important, again, as I've already mentioned. Because I'm signed up for all of the sports books in my state, I have this wide range. Not only can I compare it to a lot of other books, but I'm also just maximizing the opportunity of even finding the positive EV play in the first place. So this one's really good. Lions money line at plus 150. Now for handicapping purposes, I get it. Lions are 1-3. I get it. They're playing in New England, an away game for the Lions, but the Lions have scored the most points in the NFL at 140. Now they're 1-3 because they've allowed the most points in the NFL as well at 141. But the New England Patriots defense is a little bit overrated. They're not a top half defense in the NFL according to DVOA. They're a bottom half defense. And even last week, Jared Goff was able to go off against the Seahawks defense, which admittedly is bad, but still missing DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jared Goff still had a great game. They still have Jamal Williams. They still have TJ Hawkinson. They have enough weapons to move the ball. And this is just a complete and utter fade against the Patriots offense. Even if it's Bailey Zappi, who looked good against the Packers last week, he's a rookie with a week's worth of tape on him. The Detroit Lions, as bad as their defense is, I'm guessing they're going to be able to stop him. And if it's a hobbled Mac Jones, well, that's just that. He's got a sprained ankle, a severely sprained ankle. So if he plays, he definitely won't be at 100%. So my guess here is that the Lions will still be able to put up a ton of points and that the Patriots just won't be able to keep up. So for my my underdog play, Detroit Lions money line at plus 150. Love this play. Locked it in on BetRivers for a unit, plus 150 odds. And that's it. So let's move on to the player prop. All right, and next up we have the player prop. And the one that I have identified for my play here is Zach Ertz over 4.5 receptions. I absolutely love this play. I don't love the odds at minus 140 at Tipico, or you can get it at minus 142 on Caesars if you don't have Tipico. Absolutely love it. I think this is a great play and it's worth accepting the juice. So let me lock this one in. Of course, Tipico won't let me get a full unit on it. It should be a full unit. They have me limited. Let's see how much they let me get on this one. I'll put the rest that they don't allow me to get on Caesars at minus 142. See, they can't even let me get 15 on backing Zach Ertz. Let's see if they let me get 10. So that is what they let me get, $10 on Tipico. I'll put the remaining 90 on Caesars. But I don't need to waste your time with that. Let's chat about this play. Absolutely love it. I think this is an awesome, awesome play, worth risking the minus 140 juice or minus 142 juice on this one. Number one, of course, it's positive EV. All these plays that I get, they're all positive expected value. Player prop is no different. The no vig line prices this at minus 145. Tipico has it at minus 140. Caesars has it at minus 142. Both of those books are positive expected value at those prices. It's positive EV. And then just look, DraftKings, minus 180. Pinnacle, minus 168. Opening it up in a new tab pulls up where every sportsbook prices this prop at. So remember, we're getting over 4.5. And Prize Picks prices it at 5. So Prize Picks thinks that Zach Ertz's reception total should be priced above this number. Now, obviously, we're accepting the juice, getting it at minus 140 or minus 142, of course. But I still think it's a really good play. Again, I mentioned it's positive EV, 1.6% positive EV. So just made $1.60 on this individual bet in terms of profit margin. And then, so that's the math behind it. In terms of handicapping, there's two reasons why I really like it. Number one, he's trending over this number. Zach Ertz has become, even with Rondale Moore back in the lineup, Zach Ertz is extremely necessary for this Cardinals team. The last 3 games, 8 receptions, 6 receptions, 6 receptions. He's trending over this number with Rondale Moore, even though he's back, still banged up. Their number one target, Hollywood Brown, is banged up with a foot injury. He's still playing. He's still having a good game, but he's still banged up. And Zach Ertz is just what they need out of the slot. And not to mention, this is a revenge game for Zach Ertz. He obviously, Eagles legend. I know very well Zach Ertz with the Eagles. Absolute legend. Caught the game-winning pass in the Super Bowl. Now is playing against his former team. I can guarantee you, Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, they're going to try to get him a bunch of touches in this revenge game. There's always going to be some sort of personal narrative that influences the game. In this case, Zach Ertz's receptions, I think, is a massive one. I think it's a really good play. And then the last thing, the Eagles are 5.5 point favorites, 6, depending on where you look. My guess is that the Eagles are going to be winning this entire game. They're going to get out to a big lead. The Cardinals have the worst first half offense in the entire NFL. So they're going to be passing it the whole game. So Kyler Murray attempts are going to be up, which means more opportunities for Zach Ertz to go over this reception total. So all in all, player prop, we were looking at Zach Ertz over 4.5 receptions, minus 140 on Tipico or minus 142 on Caesars. And that's it. So let's go to the game prop. All right. And lastly, for the game prop, we are looking at the first half total under 20 points, minus 105 odds in the 49ers versus Panthers game. So this is a bet that I literally just locked in on Caesars. You can see it right here, just locked in. I think it's an awesome play. So let's chat about it. Number one, of course, it's positive expected value. The bet is at minus 105 on Caesars. We locked it in at, we locked it in at minus 105. The no vig line, which is what I was trying to say, prices this at minus 107. So it's positive expected value across all of the different sharp books. Basically saying this should actually be priced at minus 107. We got it at minus 105. Only 13 cents of juice in terms of market width, which is really good. If you view this one in another tab, pulls up where all the other books are pricing this total at. And as you can see, majority of them price this at 19.5 as opposed to 20. And for a first half total that is as low as this, that half point is pretty meaningful. So I think that this one's a really good play. Another reason why I like it, Caesars prices this at minus 105. Look at all the other books and where they price it. DraftKings, minus 120. FoxBet, minus 138. Pinnacle, sharpest sportsbook in the world, minus 115. All three of these books heavily favor the under at this number, except for Caesars, which is offering it at minus 105. In terms of handicapping purposes for this one, it's pretty simple. The 49ers offense has really yet to get going. Even before Trey Lance got hurt, when he was still there, they couldn't get going. Replacing him with Jimmy G, they still can't get going. Everybody remembers that horrific Sunday night football game against the Broncos in which they lost, even in a win against the Rams on Monday night last week. Their offense didn't look that great, but this is more of a fade of the Carolina Panthers offense in backing the 49ers defense. Panthers offense is dreadful. Baker Mayfield is so bad. One of the things that he's really even worse at, if you can imagine him being even worse at something, it's dealing with pressure. And this 49ers defense, along with being a top 3 defense in the NFL in terms of DVOA, also generates a ton of pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers didn't even score in the first half of this game. 49ers being up 10-0 at halftime would not surprise me at all. The 49ers offense really struggles without Trent Williams, but like I mentioned, this is just a fade of the Panthers offense, especially in the first half. They're going to get a slow start. Baker Mayfield stinks. He's going to sail a bunch of passes. The only thing that makes me nervous about this going over is if he turns the ball over a ton and the 49ers get another defensive touchdown like they got last week. But all in all, for my game prop, I think that this is a really good play. Under 20, minus 105 on Caesars first half total in the Panthers versus 49ers. And that's it. So those are my 4 picks. So let's do a quick recap and I'll get on out of here. Lock of the day, we're going Jags minus 6.5, minus 110 odds on play up. For the underdog, we're going Lions money line plus 150 odds at Bet Rivers. Zach Ertz over 4.5 receptions, minus 140 on Tipico, or minus 142 at Caesars if you don't have Tipico. Game prop of the day, we're going 49ers, Panthers first half under 20, minus 105 on Caesars. And that's it. So let me know if you're tailing these 4 sharp bets. Would love to hear it. Other than that, please remember to subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe to the OddsJam Sweat the Bet podcast, and then to download the OddsJam Props app. But that's it. So I appreciate you guys watching. Let's cash this NFL Sunday and have a good one.